Good evening and welcome to Ernie Live. Right now we are going to be talking with the folks from School of Rock, the musical. It's here in Houston, and with me right now is also Walt Ziprian.
Hey, I'm Walt.
Walt's got a very important part. For any of you that like this, comment, or ask a question, Walt will be your voice. When you do that, you get entered into a drawing for the CD of the cast recording of School of Rock. We're going to be drawing that in the next 10 minutes or so don't go anywhere. Join in the conversation. But we've got two wonderful guests with us who were in the show tonight, and they've stepped away from the cast party to join us. Walt, who are our guests?
We have Elysia Jordan here.
Hello, Elysia, and who do you play in the show?
I play Mrs. Hathaway, and I'm in the female ensemble, so teachers and parents.
And we're going to talk about how busy you are in just a second. Who's my other guest, Walt?
Deidre Lang.
Deidre's here. Hello, Deidre.
Hello, how you doing?
Okay, Deidre, you play.
Okay. I play Miss Shinekoff.
And you seem much older on stage than you are in real life.
That's what everybody says. I think it's the dresses, and I think it's the wigs. You know, it's got a little gray streak in it, so...
Yeah, well, I know something about you. But anyway, these are the cast members. We're going to be talking to them in a second. So ask your questions, get involved, like, whatever you do. But that's why this is Facebook Live, so you can be part of it all. Okay.
Right.
True or not?
Okay, what's that?
In Living Color.
In Living Color, yes.
You were one of the Fly Girls.
I was one of the Fly Girls.
That is so awesome. And then, of course, that brings up the question, you must have been like 3 years old back then.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, I was a little bit older. I was 10.
10, okay. So, School of Rock, they always say to me, you never explain the plot. It's the same as the movie, correct? Right. And tell me a little bit about the story for folks that don't know it.
Sure. Well, our main character is Dewey Finn, who is a wannabe rock star, and he basically pretends to be a substitute teacher at a prep school to try to make rent. And in the meanwhile, he takes these very straight-laced A+ students and realizes that they play instruments and turns them into a rock band. And what's really amazing about our show is that the kids play the instruments live on stage every night. So they're between the ages of 9 and 12, and they're incredible musicians. Many of the kids on stage play several instruments, and when they're playing those instruments in the solos, it is just them. The people down in the orchestra are just sort of watching them up in the pit.
That is what's probably so amazing about this show. Yeah. And you're sitting there, and of course Andrew Lloyd Webber makes a cameo at the very beginning through his voice, where he announced that these children are really playing. These actors are playing their instruments. Yeah. And even though you know that, you're watching and you're like, and then obviously you're like, oh my God, these kids are playing it. So I would think it's really hard to cast this show because they've got to get fine little actors, fine little singers, and amazing musicians. So how do they find such a talented cast?
Well, I know some of the kids, I've talked to some of their parents, and when they knew the show was coming out, some of them trained as little babies to play instruments, like the little girl. What's her name that plays Katie? It's Theodora. Theodora. She started. She was doing once, and I heard that she started rehearsing and started to learn the bass for the show. So they were like, "We're going to put you in this show," and she got it. So yeah.
Do either of you play instruments?
I don't.
No, both of them together.
I started to play in high school, but nothing ever stuck
me
with
too,
me. You know,
every year I started something new.
Yeah.
But you know what? Something that does stick is when you make a comment or ask a question or even like us. Walt, what's going on Facebook?
Hey, Dennis Cass says hi. This is taking a while to load.
Sorry, Dennis.
Christy Patrick says we have 4 children ages 10 to 16. Sounds like a fabulous show. All of our children are violinists.
Violinists, I don't think you have in the show, really. I mean, they start playing something a little classical instruments, and then they kind of go into the rock instruments. But I want both of you to know that if just asked your questions, you're already entered into the drawing for the CD. If you'd like to get the cast recording, ask a question or make a comment. Is that everything we got?
So far, yep.
Okay, well, you guys keep liking, keep asking, and we'll get back to them in just a minute. Elysia.
Yes.
Billy Elliot.
Yes.
Are you making a career out of working with children casts?
Yes. I actually joke and say that I always get hired to play the mother of prodigy children because in Billy Elliot I played the ghost of Billy's mother as well.
I can see that now that you say it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's actually how I joined the union, was doing that, the regional premiere production and a couple of productions of Billy Elliot. So it is a wonderful habit being in these casts with these incredible kids.
What kind of unique challenges, and this is for both of you, does it bring having having to work with a cast of children? I mean, there's certain rules, there's certain regulations. It must change how you tour to some degree.
It means that there's a lot of extra people because each of our kids also travels with one of their parents.
Guardians, right.
And we have tutors that travel with us as well that, the kids go to school for so many hours a week. So it ends up being like a whole little traveling town that goes from city to city. But in all honesty, it's really inspiring to travel with kids. And especially when the road gets sort of rough or stressful, it's really fun to sort of have their point of view, which is always very positive and
Okay, Deidre,
Yes.
let me ask you.
Okay.
You've been on some tours. You've been on Broadway.
Done a
having the
little
kids
something.
around, does that cramp your style?
No, actually, even though I don't really look my age, I have kids, so being around the kids, I love it because I miss my own kids.
I was going to say, does it make you miss your kids?
Yeah, so they're like my, I feel like they're like my kids, you know what I mean? And they're good. And one of the mothers asked, she was like, does it bother you being around these kids? I'm like, no, I love these kids. They keep you young. You know what I mean? So
they have an awful lot of energy, though.
Oh, they got tons of energy. But that's okay.
Okay, you also did one of my all-time favorite shows.
Which one was
Aida.
Yes, I did.
How was that experience?
That was cool. I actually did it when it was a tryout in Atlanta.
In the Atlanta production?
In the Atlanta production.
Oh, wow.
So I did it back when nobody knew what it was going to be yet.
So you guys had the big pyramid that turned, that was the problem?
Yep,
piece
and
of
it broke down like every other show, And I remember I was the standby for Heather Headley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we did, I think she did the first week, and I never had any rehearsals. And then she got sick, and they were like, Deidre, you're on. And I was like, oh, my goodness. So I had one day of rehearsal to get ready to do the show.
I can never understand how you folks did it. And I figure when you're touring in a show, you're almost always understudying somebody else. That must be so challenging, that kind of work. Because like you said, you don't have the people that are doing the character do it every day, over and over. And then all of a sudden, one day, you're on.
Exactly.
But you guys spend a lot of time doing standby rehearsals and stuff during daytimes, and right? Can you talk a little about that?
Sure, yeah. So I actually understudy Miss Mullins, the female lead in the show, and I also, funny enough, understudy Deidre's parts.
Fabulous.
Thanks, Dee. Likewise, obviously. So, so I actually have been on as Miss Mullins in Pittsburgh, and that happens. Our wonderful leading lady sprained her ankle, and so I had like 2 hours.
I don't know
where
how you
they were
do
like,
it.
"You're going on," and that was in the beginning of our run. So it's yeah, I hadn't had my put-in rehearsal was
hadn't had
actually
any rehearsals.
scheduled.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had the understudy rehearsal. Wow,
They're so excited you had an understudy rehearsal. They're applauding. I want to remind everyone we're talking with cast members from School of Rock, the musical that's happening at the Hobby Center right here in Houston right now. And we're looking for your questions, comments, likes, so you can enter the drawing for the CD of School of Rock, the musical, which written by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that. There's moments in the show, I think, where all of a sudden you can hear the Andrew Lloyd Webber touch.
Oh, yeah.
When you're hearing that music, does it affect you the way it does an audience, knowing who wrote it and the creation of the melodies and how that all works? What goes through your minds as actors?
He's a legend. So it's like, it's so cool to be a part of a show, that somebody as big as him, did put together. But I did the show Cats when I was 18. I did the national tour of Cats. And I can hear at the end of the show, I hear the Jellicle, when the thing goes up, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is bringing back memories.
There's a moment at the top of Act 2 where I hear something, and I haven't pegged it yet, and I'm like, I know that from somewhere. Just a little of the music bridge there. Do you know what it is? Oh, you know it? You've heard it?
I didn't know.
We talked about it before. I don't remember exactly what part.
Just in a bill.
Well, there's the variations. He wrote this thing called Variations, and that appears in our show.
Song and dance came out of that. The variations with the cello piece.
Yeah. And that actually plays when the Roadhouse is coming in.
That's what that. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Well, what else do we have?
Christy Patrick says, love the enthusiasm both ladies exude. Can't wait to see the show and join the fun.
Well, I'll tell you, if you think they exude it here, you should see them in the show. The show is so much fun, though. It's just energetic blast of excitement. Talking about musicals you've done also, we talk about working with Andrew Lloyd Webber's music.
Right.
Aida's Elton John. Lion King has a good touch of Elton John in there, too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you get to work with some really great composers in the music. Of course, Menken and Alan Menken and Lion King.
Oh,
come on, people.
Tim
Rice did. Yes,
he did it too?
He did Aida.
Okay.
Menken and come on, folks out there, help me. Who wrote Lion King, the music?
I should know this.
Menken and they did Beauty and the Beast. They did. Oh.
You know who it is? Let's Google it. No.
Google it while you're on there.
Google it.
No, you're supposed to be watching The People.
Yeah.
And talking about other classic shows as long.
Oh yeah.
Mike over there.
Yeah, Andrew
Lloyd Webber came and saw you guys?
Yes, he came to Columbus, Ohio, which was our third city.
Yes.
So him and his wife came to see the show and came backstage after, and he was really
what
wonderful.
goes through your mind when you know he's there watching his work being put out by you guys?
It's very nerve-wracking, but it's also really exciting and such a moment, especially if you've loved musical theater as long as we have. And I remember that when we got on the elevator, there was an elevator to go to our dressing room. And when we got on the elevator at intermission, Jill, who plays Freddie, the drummer, he's the little drummer, he got on the elevator and he looked at one of the adult ensemble and he said, "I hope Andrew Lloyd Webber gets happy about that." And we were all like, "Us too, buddy, us too." So perfect example of when the kids say exactly the right thing in moments like that.
Yeah. What was your feeling of working in front of Sir
I know I started
Webber
to crack. We don't even sing that much, but you get the nerves in you, and I was like, oh gosh, we're singing one of his songs, and I just started to crack a little bit, and I was like, get it together. You've been doing this for too long. You don't need to be nervous.
He's going to turn 70 this year. Isn't that amazing? They're releasing a big 4 CD box set called Unmasked, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. They're making a big deal out of the 70th, as they should. Talking about other amazing people whose work you've also done, The Who's Tommy.
Yeah, that was a fun show, and I was back in my dancer days. I was dancing it up a storm, and I was the understudy for the Acid Queen.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I did that. I did it on Broadway, but I did it on the road first, and then I did it on Broadway right before it closed. So
cool.
And we got to meet the guys from the group.
Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend. That's who we met. He came to the show.
And I think what's cool about that, going through that line of questioning, is the whole idea of how rock and popular music is in the Broadway theater today.
Right.
And for a long time, years ago, in the 40s, 50s, that was the popular music.
Exactly.
Then it kind of became theater music was separate from popular. But today we're seeing a lot more blend of that. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's happening. And actually, it's so funny. I can't get away from the rock. All the shows that I do recently have been the rock shows. Like I did Rock of Ages in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then I came to School of Rock. So
did you work with Tony Vincent in Rock of Ages?
I know him, but I didn't work with him.
He is amazing.
Yeah,
I'm a big Tony Vincent. Have you ever worked with Tony? Do you know who we're talking about?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You have to bring the mic over there. There you go.
And I was also going to say that one time I heard Hamilton recently at in a gas station. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's really wonderful. I don't know, maybe the person working at the gas station loved musical theater and was playing it, but it was a moment, like you said, where it is becoming much more mainstream, which is wonderful.
Talking about the mainstreamness of shows, School of Rock has an amazing, almost cult following. How is that for you guys being part of something because the kids have their own sets of fans, and there's the TV shows, and there's the movie, and there's so much to this. What's it like to be part of this legacy, I guess?
It's neat as an actor when you say, people from Ohio, I'm from Ohio, when I speak to people at home, and I say, I'm doing the School of Rock musical, and they immediately get excited because they know what that is. So that's really neat, and people love that movie. The movie's so wonderful. So it's a lot of fun to bring it to the country and to the younger kids who might not have seen that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows the show. When I tell family, they know School of Rock, the movie. They're like, "What part are you?" And they're like, "Are you the teacher, the principal?" And I'm like, "I'm Miss Shinecoff." And they're like, "We don't know who that is." And I don't even think she's in the movie. Is she in the movie? Yeah, there's no Shinecoff.
Well, the funny
right.
Well, the funny thing is, I've never seen the film.
Right.
So I didn't know the story.
I
I kind of knew, I had the idea of it down just from knowing, but I didn't know how it was going to end. I didn't know what was going to happen in that last scene. So
that's exciting.
I was like, oh. But you know what, Walt? Anybody else out there have anything for you?
No.
Well, you know what?
Aw.
It's still time to draw. So, from the likes, from the questions, from the comments, which one of you is going to draw for the CD?
Me?
Okay. Deidre is going to draw our winning person,
Right.
and that person is... Oh, title.
Christy Patrick.
Christine, you have won the CD from School... I was just checking to make sure it was the right... Oh, yes, that's it. School of Rock, the musical. We're going to be sending that your way with our thank you for joining in and joining. I want to thank both of you for taking your time out of your party tonight to hang out with us.
Thank you for having me.
And to share a little bit with us.
Yeah.
I just held because you said thank you, and I noticed you weren't on mic, so I put the mic there.
Well,
Didn't mean to
thank
put
you
on
for
the spot.
coming and joining us and having a blast. And we love Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Well, the show runs through the rest of the week here at the Hobby Center, so come and join us. Our next Ernie Live is going to be from Memphis. That's going to be on February 22nd. And then, this is really crazy.
But it's going to be here in Houston.
Yes, Memphis in Houston. But then starting on February 27th, every day for 3 weeks, live from the Houston Rodeo, we're going to be doing Ernie Live at the Rodeo every day at 3 o'clock. So put that in your calendars and come back and watch us then. But right now, that's it. Remember to like the Houston Public Media Facebook page. You can do that right below us. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Walt.
Thank you, Ernie.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.